This is Raj. Welcome to the world of Salesforce. Today is the day 56 class where we are going to discuss what are access specifiers and what is a class and object. So yesterday we have seen a just introduction to a class and an object and what are access specifiers, right? So today we are going to see some of the examples of these three. Okay. So how we are going to create variables, how we are going to create methods, all we are going to see. Okay. So access specifier. So for this access specifier, what is the syntax? Yesterday we have seen, right? Access specifier, or we can say access modifier also, right? What is the syntax for it? So here you need to mention access specifier or access modifier class, and here class name you have to mention like this, right? Inside this, what are the logics are there? You can write all the logics here, right? You can define methods, you can define variables, you can define constructors, right? All the large business logics, all to be written inside it. Okay. So these are nothing but in order to define the visibility and accessibility of the methods or variables. Okay. So in general, there are four types of access specifiers are there. So one is public, private, protected, and global. Okay, let us see one by one here. Public. Public means, so whatever the components, right? What are the components with the public? What when we have defined with the name as a public, so that are going to visible and accessible to all the classes and triggers in our organization. Right? That means public members can be accessible within the organization. Right? Within the organization. Outside of the organization we cannot access this, so within the organization, so for all the classes and for all the triggers we are going to access this. When we have used this public access specifier, so we can access that particular class throughout our organization. So this means that any class or trigger in our organization can access or we can use this component. So when I have used here in this place of access specifier public class name, let's say ABC. Okay, public, when I am using this public keyword, so it is accessible by all the classes and by all the triggers in that particular organization. Got it? So now coming to this private. So private means, so private access modifiers are the particularly visible to and accessible within the same class. Okay. So when I have written like this private, okay, private class name, some ABC class name is there. Okay. So when I'm using like this, so when I have used this private keyword, so it is accessible only in this class only. So we cannot access this particular class in another class. Okay. So components with private access modifier are only visible and accessible within the same class in which this particular private keyword is defined. That particular class only they are going to accessible. This means no other class or no other triggers in the organization can access this. That means we cannot use this. Access means we cannot use this in another classes. Okay. So mostly in test classes, we are going to use these private keywords. Okay. So now coming to this protected. So here in place of private, I can use here protected. So protected class, there's some class name here, ABC. So components with this type of protected, when I am using this protected access specifier, so these are visible and we can accessible within the same class. Okay, within the same class, and any subclasses, that means subclass means here which are defined from this class. Okay, so that means this is So I am going to use this in a subclass that extends. So extends the original class. This is the original class. So this class now it is going to extend, right, by writing another class. When I am writing another class, right, protected class ABC, I am using this is the parent class. Let us say this is the parent class, right? It is going to inherit that particular properties to this child class. Hope you understand, right? When I'm using this protected, so this is accessible within the class, and whatever the subclass, right, that is extended from the original class, from this original class, right? That means it is going to inherit from the original class and we can use those components, right? We can use those components in the subclass. Right? Subclass maybe we can use public, anything, public, private, anything, public, class, some class name DEF, extends this particular ABC. Okay? So when I am using this protected means this particular parent class is going to inherit these properties to this subclass. Public means within the organization. So all the classes, all the triggers can access. Private means only in the whatever the class it may be defined. Right, only in that particular class only we are going to access. Protected means in that particular class and as well as the subclass which is extends the original class, parent and the child. Okay, now global means so it can be accessible within the organization and outside the organization also. Global means within the organization and outside the organization. Okay, so mainly what is the best example for it? Batch classes, schedule classes, right, web services, APIs, right? So all these are defined with the global access specifier. So batch class, so it may be accessible with our integration system. So integration needs to access our batch class. Then we need to use this global keyword. Instead of protected, we have to use global here. So global class name. So when I am using this global, so this particular class can be accessible by third party system, like outside of the organization. It may be some integration systems, it may be some legacy systems, anything. Okay. Hope you understand about these access modifiers or access specifiers, I can say. Okay. Let us see how we are going to write this. So, so what is a class? I think you understood, right? Yesterday we have discussed. So what is a class here? Class is nothing but a physical entity. Class is nothing but a physical entity, or we can say blueprint, right? So it is going to contain the set of members inside it. So set of members in the sense, so it contains one or more variables or properties or constructors or functions. Okay. So in order to access this particular class, we need some references, which is known as an object. Right? Object is nothing but a logical entity. Okay. So class is nothing but a physical entity. Object is nothing but a logical entity. Right? In order to access this particular class, we need some reference known as an object. Right? So in this class, we are going to have a group of functions like all the variables, properties, all these things we are going to contain in this class. Right? So let us start some examples today. How to write a class, how to write an object. Okay. So let me open this. So till the previous classes, we have seen in an execute anonymous window, right? So from the debug execute anonymous window, we have written the code here. Right, the code, that means the code we are not going to save anywhere, just in order to execute, that's it. Right, for temporary purpose, it is a temporary memory. Okay, so where after writing, where we can delete all these things. So it is not going to save inside the organization, just it is an execute window, that's it. Right, execute anonymous window, this is known as execute anonymous window. Right, so now let me write down an apex class which I am going to store in our organization. So see here, file, new, Apex class, right? File, new Apex class. Click on it. So please enter a name. Let's say employee details. Right, employee details. This is my class name. Click on OK. See here, access specifier, class name. Right? Public means when I'm using this public means it can be accessible within the class and inside our organization. All the classes and all the triggers can access this particular class. Okay, whatever the logic, whatever the variables I'm going to write here. So those can be accessible in another class also. Okay, access modifier, class and class name. Now come down. So what I need to write it here. So define, what is that? So what variables and data types. Okay, so let's say public. Okay, public data type is integer, where when I'm using this public, this particular integer. So integer is employee code, employee age, right? These two can be accessible in another class also, right? Another methods, all these things. Okay, next public. Still, what are the employee details? Means employee name, all these things, right? So string. So employee name is string. String employee name, comma address. Okay, email ID. Okay, designation. All this comes under phone number. All this comes under what? In a string only, right? Public date, data type. So all data types I'm using here: integer, string, date. Okay. Let's see birth date, joining date, or you can say relieving date, right? Next, what are there? Boolean is there, decimal is there. Okay. Public decimal means decimal salary, salary amount. Okay. All these are variables. See here, first letter is small letter. Okay. So all these are variables. No spaces will be there. Okay. So all these are variables and this is the data types and this is the access modifier. Okay. Salary amount and Boolean means Boolean is active. That's it. Like this, we are going to define all these variables inside a class. Till now, we have not written any logics here. Okay. So just we have completed whatever the variables inside a class. It contains a group of set of members, right? So that means it contains constructors, it contains variables, it contains methods, right? So first we have written methods. So now see here, what is the runtime exception? What is the compilation errors? What are all these in the initial classes I have discussed? So that means when I'm trying to save the program, see here still star mark is there. So star mark indicates it is under progress, right? We have not saved this particular program. Okay, file, save, control plus S. Okay, click on save. See here saving. Still I'm not saved, but some red color symbol is there. So red color exclamatory symbol is there. See here problems. One problem is there. We are unable to save this particular program. So there is a one issue, one problem inside it. Just look into this problem. Okay. Go to this problem. See what is the line number 6. Line number 6, invalid type boolean. So there is no data type known as boolean. So you need to write a boolean. So some missing here. So now see here this red color will go on. Okay. See. No errors are there. So now let me remove this symbol here. So I have removed this. Okay. Now see here what error it will throw. So unexpected token is active. So system is not able to understand what is active. So you said that it is a variable. Variable means it should end with a semicolon. But system is not able to understand what is active. So if it is a variable, it should end with a semicolon. but it is not ending with a semicolon. So in my Salesforce database, there is no keyword, no such keyword as is active. So how can I understand is active? So that is why it is saying that unexpected token is active, right? Line number 6 and line number 9, unexpected token braces, right? Because curly braces after this closing of the line number 6 only, we need to close this braces. That means something is missing here inside this code, right? So we need to look at, so here it will not directly give us like, so semicolon is missing, please add semicolon, not like that. So you need to debug it. So errors will come like this. So you need to debug it. So in the line number 6, something is missing. So system is not able to understand is active. That means here semicolon is missing. Add semicolon and control S. See here, saving. And now 3 errors are gone. So star mark is also not there. Now the code is saved. Right? Like this, you can add anything. So you just keep on practicing how to write it, how to define a variables, right, inside a class. Okay. So you can write some product details. So public integer, product code, quantity. So string means product name, who is the manufacturer, what is the contact number. Okay. Public date means manufacturing date and expiry date. So decimal means unit price. Boolean means is in stock or not. That particular product is in stock or not. Like this, you can just practice. Simple, but you need to practice. Right? So now coming to the next topic, object. What is an object here? It is a logical entity. Right? It is nothing but a instance of a class. Object is nothing but a instance of a class. How we are going to write this instance of a class? Okay. Let me show you. Now see here. So object. So instance of a class, right? So by using this particular object, we can reference the class. We can access all the class members, right, from this particular class. So whatever the class written here, see here I have written this particular class, right? So I am going to define an object, and from that object I can access this particular class. Access class means I can access this employee code, this particular address, this email ID, relieving date, salary amount, all this in another class also. So by using the object in another class also, I can use all these things, but by means of this object. So by using object, we can reference this class and we can access all the class members, whatever we have written inside this logic business. It may be business logic, it may be code, it may be variables, it may be constructors. All this we can refer in another class also. And we can also assign the variables as well. That by using object, we can assign the variables also. Okay. So let me tell you the syntax, how to write this object. Right? So here you need to write like this, class name, okay, object name is equals to some dynamic memory allocation I need to define, right? Because if I need to assign the variables, it should be dynamic, right? So no memory wastage should be there. So dynamic memory allocation, again class name, right? This is the syntax. So now how I need to write here, employee details is the class name, employee details, right? Some object name, anything, employee details equals to new employee, this particular class name here I need to write it. Okay. So like this, I need to define a object. Okay. Some dynamic memory allocation is going to assign here. A class can have number of objects also. So employee details 1, employee details 2, employee details 3, like this, a class can have number of objects also. Right? So how we are going to assign this particular values to it? So assigning a values means the object name object name dot, right? Object name dot. So whatever the variable name. So variables you have defined, right? So that particular variable name is equals to some value. Whatever the value if you want to write, so you can write it there. Okay. So let me define a small class. Okay. File, new apex class. Let us say some same product details. Product details. Okay. So here public integer, let's say product code. What are this quantity? Just I will let a sample. Okay. You can keep on practicing by adding some more variables and all these things. So public string product name, who is the manufacturer and phone number, right? Phone number. Okay. Next one is public date, manufacturing date, and let's say expiring date. Okay. Next public decimal unit price. Right. Next public boolean is in stock or not. Okay. Like this I am going to write. So now how I am going to define a values. How I am to define a values to it. Okay. So in order to assign values, okay, you can write it here or let's save this code. Okay, save this code. Now open execute anonymous window. Let's say this is another class, another Apex class. Okay, direct in the execute anonymous window, I'm going to write. So how I'm going to define class name? Okay, some object name. Let's say p details equals to new the class name. That's it. So now p details, how I am going to assign? P details dot, this is the product code. Just assign some value to it. Okay. This is the product code. Integer, right? And now again, p detail object name dot quantity variable name is equals to, let's say, some 250 quantity. Okay. Next, p details dot, what is this product name? Product name is, let's say, laptop. String means I need to write in a single quotes. Okay. Next, p details dot, who is the manufacturer? Let's say HP. Okay. Next, object name dot phone number. Okay, so this is also string, right? So I can write 543210. Okay. Now coming to date. So copy paste it. So date, manufacturing date. So date means, let us say today's date means, in order to define a date, you can write system dot today. This is the word you have to use. System dot today. So it will take at current date. Okay, system dot today. So how to define expiry date then? Dot expiry date equals to, so system dot today dot add system dot today dot add years. So let's say add years of 10. So from today to 10 years. So it is going to expire. right? Next, P details dot unit price decimal. So decimal, right? Some 37500.00 like this you can write. Okay. Next, what is this? Copy. So now the values are assigned or not. So it is your task how to print these values. Print these values. This is your task. Okay. So keep on practicing all these things. So how we are going to print these? Tell me. So practice these examples. How we are going to print this? So system dot debug. System dot debug. Yes. Now how we are going to print this? Let's say I want to print this product code. Product code is, okay, product code is, how to print this product code? P detail, in this object it is there, object dot this particular variable, right? So I need to take object dot product code. That's it, right? Like this you are going to print all these things, right? So hope you understand how we are going to assign. Okay, let's see what it is going to print it here. So just execute this, open this logs. Yes, a success, open it. Click on debug only. See here 234400. Okay. Just open this same value, right? So this particular object is accessing product details class. Hope you understand. So like this, if you want to print all remaining details, yes, you can print. Okay. So if you want to print the product name, that's it. Okay. Open log, execute. Now you can see this. See product code and product. So again, product code. So product name, right? Name, execute. See here, product code and product name is laptop. So like this, you can assign the values and execute the values. Hope you understand, right? So this particular object is referring this class. So we can access all the class members from this object, right? So whatever the value, product code, quantity I have defined in a separate class, but I am accessing these values, right? These particular members, let's say this particular, not values, but this particular members, the class members. So I'm going to access from another side. So by defining an object. So object is going to refer the class. So from that class, see product code, quantity, product name, all variables I am going to access. And I can print, I can use in another logic. Okay, like this. Right? Just keep on practicing all these things. If you have any doubt at any point of time, let's just mention in the comment section. Okay. So keep following this channel for the latest updates. Thank you.